Food and Beverage Magazine Live, bringing food and beverage to life. With your hosts, James Beard Award winner Jennifer English and Food and Beverage Magazine publisher Michael Politz. Featuring leaders in the hospitality, branded food and beverage, and CPG industries, many of whom are Jennifer and Michael's friends in the business. For an informal and informative conversation where friends in the business share the latest intel, ideas, and best practices. Live, juicy inside scoop from the tastemakers, newsmakers, bread bakers, drink shakers, spoon lickers, clam diggers, farms, foodies, and friends of the food and beverage magazine world. Here are your hosts, Jennifer English and Michael Politz.
Hi, I'm your host, Michael Politz, and I don't know where Jennifer is. Oh, there she is. Are you getting prepared for today's show?
I'm so ready for today's show. We've got such a great, exciting, delicious show today.
Wow, I love that you said delicious.
Yeah, because delicious, there's no substitute for delicious. Do you know what we're making? I had cravings. And I have a friend who can satisfy my cravings. His name is Bill Elliott. And he has a company called KBBQ. And they have the world's greatest Korean barbecue. And you can get it, and you can enjoy it. And you want to know what all the fuss is about with Korean fried chicken. And you want to know what all these ingredients are. Well, we have got the master giving a master class today. Yes. It's exactly what we're doing. We're doing a master class, mastering the art of Korean barbecue today with the one and only Bill Elliott.
Oh,
hello.
Are we bringing Bill on?
We have to.
Hello.
Wow.
How are you?
Can you hear Bill, Jen? Oh, you hear?
Can you hear me?
Absolutely. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you? I love your kitchen. Kitchen looks very nice.
Beautiful kitchen.
We're going on a tour today in the world of Korean barbecue with the one and only Bill Elliott. Bill, before we get started today, talk a little bit about Korean food and how 10 years ago we barely knew what it was, and today it is like the hottest category in cuisine.
Well, Korean food, I think a lot of people know what Korean food is now, which is awesome. But there's so many levels of Korean food. When you talk about what most people know, it's Korean barbecue. But there's so many different segments in Korean food. Most of it is vegetable based. So there are plenty of in Korean food, when you sit down for a Korean meal, it's not just about the main course. It's really about the side dishes, which are called banchan. And those can be anything from sesame and bean sprouts to spinach to egg dishes to cheese corn, which I don't know if you've ever tried cheese corn, but it's fantastic. But also soups. The Korean diet is very balanced. So there is a lot of vegetables. There's a lot of it's just a lot of component parts. Flavor profiles from sweet to spicy to salty to sour. It just runs the gamut of tastes, textures, hots, colds, all sorts of different things. Cold noodles, hot noodles, stir fried rice. There's just plenty of variety. So I think that's what makes Korean food so unique. And then health wise, Korean food is up there when it comes to health. When you get into, say, kimchi, for example, kimchi is kind of a big category. There's hundreds of different kinds of kimchi, and it's not just the kimchi that I shipped you, which is the standard Napa cabbage kimchi that I sell to not only colleges and universities, but we sell that to many Korean restaurants in Korea because it's legit. It's the way it is in Korea. So the dishes that you're going to cook today are very very traditional, but you can actually put different twists on them and do variations as well. So
one of the reasons I think a lot of people became aware of Korean food is because in Los Angeles, there was a happening when the Korean barbecue fusion thing happened. Korean food was always big in Los Angeles because there's a big Korean community, Korean American community now. Will you talk a little bit about how the culture, sort of the edible culture of cuisine and flavor, sort of wove its way into the cuisine scene of Los Angeles?
Well, Koreans have been in the United States forever. We started our business in 1970, and our first branch was actually in Chicago, which has a large population of Koreans. And so the Korean culture really, after World War II, really became, more people came from Korea into the United States. And, LA is a melting pot, just like the whole United States is a melting pot. But, Korean communities next to Hispanic community, next to African American community, and then you have the Bangladesh and the Indian community. So, I mean, it's a very, it's a wide array of cultures, and, crossover is very easy in those type of things. That's why, when they did the Kogi truck, the Korean and the Mexican, the flavors really meld well together because, spicy food is popular, and spicy food has been popular. But Korean food is not just spicy. It's
Right.
It's the balance between the sweet, the sour, the spicy, the salty, and textures and temperatures as well.
Everything you've mentioned so far has one word in common, and that word is irresistible. And you had irresistible cold, irresistible hot, irresistible sweet, irresistible hot, and spicy hot. And you could go around to every element of the cuisine that you just described, and it has this irresistible quality. And then when you bring them together, it's irresistible. And then when they play with other cuisines, it's irresistible. Korean, I'm going to call them ingredients and flavors. Think of them like notes. You can take the same notes and make Korean music, and you can make French music and Italian music. But imagine if these were just the most friendly notes that played well in every song, chord, and tune that you could create. It's one of the hidden, to my mind, genius qualities of Korean food is that it just plays well with whatever you start with.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you can take, you see, balance and flavors, but textures and temperatures all play off each other with Korean food. But it also plays well with, like you said, with Chinese and with Japanese and with, Mexican, Latin American cuisine. The flavor profiles of Korean food, it hits all notes. So it's widely accepted.
So it's crowd pleasing, it's delicious, it's bright, it's zesty, it's alive, and frankly, in a time like this, when some of our favorite restaurants aren't open for eat-in, dine-in, sit-down business, and maybe we don't have a great Korean restaurant within the delivery zone we live in, you are really emerging in the national food scene as the player most likely to step in and satisfy our Jones for some of these flavors. And I wanted to start because we've got water boiling. We're going to do some cooking together, and I'm grateful for you doing this. I wanted to start by having you talk a little bit about your company, KBBQ, and then Wang Distribution, and how you guys have become literally the preeminent company in the country, in North America, for these products. And we're going to show these, and we're going to talk through some of them. So talk about the company for us first while I get some of these things on plates for you to showcase.
Yeah, so my company, I kind of work between both companies. I'm actually employed by Wang GlobalNet, but under our umbrella, we have KBBQ Meat, which is a company that we started in 2017 when we saw a niche for pre-marinated, pre-sliced Korean barbecue meats, because we really saw a hole in that space. So we decided to go into that area. And see what we could do. We are a Korean company, so we have access to, all the authentic ingredients. We have access to, our employees. The team members that I work with are 99% Korean. So, as we're developing recipes, we can, they'll tell us, yeah, yay or nay. So, I mean, it's part of the process of, how we created, the products and sending them back to Korea to get, approval from our team back there to make sure they were correct. But, to tell you the truth, with COVID and, in what's going on in the United States with everything in business and getting more, as we get more into this, what I'm seeing is the need for products that are less steps. So, we can get you the authentic meat portion, and then you can add a lot of stuff from your shelf that you already have to create not only traditional Korean dishes, which we're going to do a couple of today, and then we'll do a couple of variances using the J Bokum, the spicy pork and kimchi that I sent you to create other things, but really less touches in the kitchen. So on the food service side, this product provides an authentic product that you can use in traditional ways, but also open up your creativity and create, kind of what you want from it, or even, adapting it to existing dishes that you have already on your menu and ramping up the flavors, keeping costs in check, because we all know that most of the kitchens and the chefs that I'm talking to across the United States, they don't have the labor anymore.
Right.
Their kitchens are very pared back. So to be able to give them something that they can play with and use in different ways is very powerful at this time.
Well, one of the things you're doing, let's just use the word that's a solution. I mean,
Right.
I know people that sell things like to say, we're a solution to your problem. But the truth is, if you don't have kitchen help and your team had to, get a furlough and
Right.
you got all of a sudden do the work of 4 people, you don't have that ability. And then the other thing is, guests are going to be ordering in a really narrow window. So you're going to have these rushes and it's going to be tough. And these really become solutions.
Right. And my background, I mean, I'm 100% food related background. I started in 1983 as a pizza cook at Perry's Pizza in Newport Beach, and, worked my way into TGI Fridays, worked there for 16 years, did everything, busser, manager, bartender. I worked for Cheesecake Factory, learned really good systems. So, I've been in the trenches with chefs, and I know what it takes to run a kitchen. So, I mean, we also, since we are a small company, we'd like to provide that solution and also, work with the chefs hand on hand, to try to help them develop. I take calls all the time from people. Hey, we really like your product. One, how do we get it? Which is a battle that we've, faced. I finally have some national distribution with Gourmet Foods International, and they've been a really good partner with us. They're a niche distributor, so they do have a lot of items that chefs look for but can't get from a broadliner like a Cisco or a US Foods or some of these other large companies, and they've been really good with us. But we're looking to expand. We're looking for to do some other some work with our website so we can go to the consumer directly. It's just a logistics battle at this point, trying to get to that point.
All right, Bill, I'm gonna help you here, because we're gonna start with our Korean food primer.
Okay.
We're gonna take the world on an introductory tour. You're gonna teach us how to say these names the right way.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have you talk about. Let's just start with what I'm gonna say is the hero product.
Kimchi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Michael, can you make Bill bigger? Because this is really important. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is like pouring the foundation of a home, talking about a core product like this, because this is going to be either the ingredient in or the companion flavor to, and the inspiration note of all the cuisine we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. So kimchi, I mean, it's a very broad term. That product that I gave you right there is our Napa cabbage cut kimchi. But we have, just in that one category, we probably have, 10 or 15 different versions of that product. And then we also have, the daikon radish kimchi. We have other types of kimchi, but there's over 200, I would say more than 200 different types of kimchi. It's a very staple part of the Korean diet. It's a very healthy product, low in fat, high in vitamins. It with the probiotic in the kimchi itself, works really well for your digestion. It's part of almost every meal with the Korean diet, just as straight or, as an ingredient. And we're going to be using it as an ingredient today.
Yeah, and we should also say that the fermentation and fermented foods are having a moment right now because we're beginning to understand that our entire health ecosystem is very much oriented towards our gut, and our gut is like home base. And if you imagine your body, right, like the 4 bases in baseball, the most important place where it all starts and where it all finishes is the gut.
Right, exactly. Kimchi is, delicious. I mean, a lot of people, it's kind of one of those products. It's polarizing. Either you love it or you hate it. I'm saying, but a lot of times that people hate it because they haven't tried it or they just think it smells. Once you eat it,
have you had the best kimchi in the world? And how can you take kimchi and really show someone what it's supposed to taste like? How can we tell someone what it's supposed to taste like?
Well, I mean, there's just so many different tastes because, young kimchi tastes different than older kimchi. Typically with, when you're using it as an ingredient, you're using, for a lot of the recipes, and there's a canned kimchi too. That's our stir-fried kimchi, which you could also use in the same dish, and it'll save you a step. And
we're going to use that today because that's what you sent us, and we're going to use this in our first dish that we're going to cook together. But before we do that, I want to actually finish talking through the product line because there are some staples of the Korean pantry that I think are essential for people to become familiar with. One of them, of course, if you watch Food Network, you've seen our friend Bobby Flay. And Bobby Flay has, almost every time he's competed on Beat Bobby Flay, increasingly frequently, he is turning to
gochujang.
This little red box, and everybody's like, what is that? And then they say it's so fast that you can't really understand. So can you give us, what is this, and why does Bobby Flay love it so much?
So gochujang is a fermented red chili paste, and it can be fermented with either rice or wheat. Basically gochugaru, which is a red pepper, a Korean red pepper. And, they put it together and they ferment it, for a long period of time. And it develops this almost sweet, there's a real umami to it, and, different spice levels. There's different spice levels of gochujang as well. So that one's a pretty standard one. That one is no added MSG. That's a great starting point because you can always make dishes spicier, but that one is a really good spice.
And I'm going to hold some up on the back of a fork so you can see. It has a sort of dark red brown color to it, like a really ultra rich organic tomato-y ketchup. It almost looks like a barbecue sauce and a ketchup just thickened up a little bit. How hot is this? Do we use Scovilles when we talk about heat in Korean food as well?
That one I would say is pretty middle of the road on the spice level, but spice is very subjective. Everybody, for some people ketchup is hot. So for the average person that is pretty comfortable with spice, I would say that one's probably on the low to medium side as far as.
And we see Bobby Flay taking a big spoon like this, scooping it up and just tossing it in and blending, doing a lot of blending with a product like that. Right.
Because it adds a different dimension than, say, just a straight pepper that just gives heat, like a chipotle pepper. That one's the doenjang. So that's the fermented soybean paste. It's a little bit different than miso. Doenjang.
Doenjang.
Yeah, so that's a product from Korea that is almost similar to a miso, a little bit more pungent, I would say. And that one's great in like a stew. They do a doenjang stew, and they do like a Korean barbecue. You can order that, which is a very popular and super umami, almost like a cross between like a peanut butter consistency and like a hummus consistency.
Yeah, it's like if peanut butter and hummus had a baby together.
Right, exactly. But the flavor profiles, I would say similar to a miso paste.
Now, I fell in love with this. I started cooking with it, and I kind of am almost putting it on everything lately. This,
Yeah, so
I mean, it's a
that's
little sweeter than I normally work with, but I use this now in place of honey in my dressings, in almost everything that I'm making. It just takes an edge off without losing the salty sweetness of everything else I'm doing.
right. So that's, that's our standard japchae sauce. So
What is
japchae
this?
sauce is typically a combination between soy, garlic, and sesame oil. It's a very basic sauce, maybe some black pepper. But yeah, it can be used in the dish that we're going to make, but also can be used as a marinade in addition to salad dressings. Super versatile, very balanced, but yeah, a little on the sweeter side. But Korean food does play with the
Got a
sweet
really
nice.
horrible kind of consistency to it.
Right. Yeah, Korean food is, the balance between the sweet and salty is very, very, common. So, I mean, a lot of, like the bulgogi, for example, it has its sweeter profile for sure. The beef bulgogi that you use for the japchae.
And we're gonna do some of that just a
Bill,
minute.
Bill, why is she out of the screen every second? Every time I look, she's
There she is. She's
Jennifer,
coming
we
back.
don't see you.
Yeah, but you don't
Samjang.
need to see me. You need to. You would rather know these products than me. Well,
Yes.
Well, I'd rather know anything than you.
I gotta tell you, these products are sensational, and having the chance to learn about the core pantry elements of a great Korean kitchen and pantry with the master, this is the rare opportunity. And you're
That's
gonna love
the
this.
master is very loosely.
So
Oh my God.
let's talk about
Excuse
this
me.
one, 'cause
Mr. Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi, please tell
Yes,
us
sir.
about this.
So that one's samjang. So that's a combination of the doenjang and the gochujang, and then they add garlic and a couple other seasonings into it, and that's a condiment used for like the lettuce wraps. So if you're doing the spicy pork and kimchi, you put a little a little samjang with your lettuce leaf. Yeah, similar consistency to the doenjang, almost like a peanut butter
Is it hot?
kind of texture.
Bill, is it hot?
No, it's savory. It's umami. It's salty. It's sweet. Not typically hot. Lots of garlic notes in it.
right? And so, can I tell you something, Bill and Michael?
No.
The first one we tried, which is the Bobby Flay version in the red box, which is called
Gochujang.
Gochujang. You don't have that? Everybody uses gochujang, and I have it. Mine has it. It's a cool little bottle. I always have it in the fridge. The kids love it. I was
gonna
trying
tell
to
you what
find
this
some of
is.
that, but Bill never sent me any.
Don't worry,
gonna-
it's coming. I got a pantry box coming your way, bro. No worries.
I want you to know. Let's go to borrow from the Three Little Bears and Goldilocks. This one is a little bit too hot, right? This one is a little too salty. And this one, babe, I'm going to tell you, this one is just right. Why Bobby Flay isn't cooking with this one every
You mean
single
that
year?
one? You mean Snake Plissken is just
Snake
right?
Plissken.
Bill, you didn't know you were going to get a Snake Plissken today, did you?
No, I didn't. That's a blast from the past, my friend.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Never know
that's
what
the
you
green
get.
red pepper powder. So that's the gochugaru. So that one of them's fine and one of them's coarse. You can amp up your gochujang with just adding a little bit of either of those.
As if
One of the
hot
prime
wasn't
ingredients
hot enough, it
in
can get hotter.
is the gochugaru.
You could use it for chicken. You could use it for fish. You could use it in a salad. It is usable, Jennifer.
Oh yes, for sure. And then if you really want to cheat and not cut up your Korean pear and your onions and put your fish sauce and put your gochugaru and salt your cabbage and all that kind of stuff, you could actually just salt your cabbage and use the kimchi base to make a quick kimchi at home. Very simple.
Have you heard of kimchi soup, Bill?
Yes.
Kimchi soup.
Kimchi stew.
My mother-in-law made that the other night for herself.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, that's one of the staple dishes. There's actually places in Koreatown that that's their specialty.
Oh, wow.
And there's some really good ones out there for sure, but fairly simple to make. Which I can send a recipe for you. It's a few ingredients. It's not hard.
What's that,
And
Jennifer?
that's purple sweet potato noodles. So That's the primary ingredient for japchae. Is a cellophane noodle, sweet potato starch noodle. Gluten-free, naturally gluten-free, low in fat. Very chewy texture.
Now, Bill, if you drop that in a deep fryer, will it puff up like the rice noodle?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something?
It would be. Yeah, it would be awesome. Well, you know what? I haven't tried it. I don't think it will because the rice noodles are a little different, but those might be a little too thick.
Yeah.
Those. But I'll try it and let you know how it comes out.
Yeah. All right.
Might be good for a salad.
Well, other chefs could start using that more and more if that's the case, right? Chefs are using it for color and for everything else.
I mean, it's a pretty versatile noodle. I mean, japchae is a dish that's either a main course or it can be a banchan, or it can be eaten cold, hot. It's very, it's one of Korea's most important dishes is japchae.
Japchae. And so, Bill, I'm going to drop this in the boiling water that we've got right now.
Okay.
And because I don't want to run out of time with you, but I wanted to just before
pull the duck out of the water. She always puts rubber duckies in her water, Bill.
And I wanted people to see, if you can, the color of these beautiful noodles.
I love it when you show us the color of your noodle, Jennifer. Thank you.
And that's just one of the japchae noodles that we have. We have other ones that aren't purple, just from straight sweet potato starch. We have cut. Those I believe are the cut ones. But we have other ones that aren't cut. So it's a big blob, and you put it in like the more industrial setting. Then you have to cut it with scissors to cut it up. So those are more user friendly.
Whoa, what's that?
Those are our tonkatsus. Yes. So we have chicken katsu.
I got katsus in my house. What's going on around here?
So we have chicken. So we have chicken katsu.
We were friends first, Bill. We were friends first, Bill.
Well, as soon as things open up, we can actually really cook together somewhere. Once we can, feel safe in the same room.
How does that come? How does that come, Bill? It comes frozen, right?
Yes. So those are raw protein. There's 3 versions. We have chicken. So straight chicken katsu, it's a whole pressed muscle, so it's not particle chicken. Then we have the pork, which is the regular standard tonkatsu, and then we have the tonkatsu with cheese. So one of them stuffed with mozzarella cheese.
Interesting.
Super great in sandwiches, just on their own with the traditional style. Shredded cabbage and a tonkatsu sauce, which is a Worcestershire ketchup-based sauce, typically Japanese in nature.
Bill. A katsu sauce is really just Worcestershire and ketchup?
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, it'll have some sweet notes to it. The Worcestershire has, it has so many ingredients in it. It'll have a sweet component, a spicy component.
That I wondered about that. What does it taste like? And now what it tastes. Yeah. Okay.
If you taste it, you can get the Worcestershire notes in the sauce. And then she's gonna make a sauce with Kewpie mayonnaise and the gochujang. And a little sugar and some rice wine vinegar, which also works well with that. Sandwiches galore. I mean, those are so easy. You can make some really awesome sandwiches with those, just with a few simple ingredients. And typically,
and we're going to start cooking in about a minute. But Bill,
why in a minute? What happens within the next 57 seconds?
Bill is going to tell us why something like this is such a great solution when you have less kitchen staff. Because this would take you an hour to prep, I'm going to guess.
Right. Anytime you have to bread something, you have a lot of stations, you have a lot of chance for foodborne illness. There's just a lot of steps. We do that in our USDA plant. We use, a really light batter, and then we actually use the nama panko, the fresh breadcrumb, rather than a semi-dry or dry panko. So the texture is a lot different. When you fry them.
All right.
That's
and here's the hero product.
On Jennifer's, on my left is the spicy pork bulgogi. So that's pork shoulder. We cut it to about 5 millimeters. Then we marinate it in our sauce, which is gochujang, gochugaru, onion, garlic, a little sesame oil, a little soy sauce, and then some sweetener, which is the Korean pear puree. And the chicken is a similar marinade, a little bit less spicy. A little bit more on the sweet side, I would say. Great grilled, chop it up, put it in a stir fry. Makes a great lettuce wraps with just mushrooms and green onions. That's the whole thigh.
So Bill, let's just clear all this up, because before people think, are we importing proteins into the U.S.? Are these U.S. proteins? How is all this working? Where are you, and what are you all producing that sends this to me frozen, literally ready to go?
Yeah, so we use a few different meat suppliers, most of which are United States based. A lot of our meat comes from Nebraska. Our pork comes from Nebraska. Different parts, Iowa. We do from time to time, depending on what time of year, we do get some Canadian AAA beef for our short ribs and for our beef bulgogi.
I do love Alberta beef. I have to say.
Yes. So, I mean, quality, we look for the right marbling. Personally, I like more fat. It's just me, but I prefer something that's a little bit more fatty. Those are kind of in the mid range when it comes to marbling. But the chicken is all locally sourced in California. Sometimes we use Jadori chicken depending on what we're making. We can private label products as well, so we can take people's existing recipes and make them. We got a few projects going on right now. We're also working on some project to actually cook these already cooked, so on the store level, they can actually heat them up sous vide, or put them in your combi oven, heat them up, and bring them to the line. So there's some stuff that we have working.
And Jennifer, what is that? The vinegar?
Nope, that's the 100% sesame oil.
Sesame oil. All right. Would you prefer Jennifer to have a manicure? Hold on, Jen. Bill, would you prefer her to have a manicure prior to showing us her nails like that?
If she can find some place that's open. I know in California, in LA, that's kind of tough right now.
Supposed to look. This is a look. All right, Bill. And last but not least, one of the iconic foods of Asian cuisine. People either love or hate mayonnaise, but if you love mayonnaise,
Japanese MSG mayonnaise. Many chefs prefer that mayonnaise.
Like, what's up with
very
the
light
mayonnaise? I mean, this
is it's fantastic product.
This to some people is like, they love this even more than sriracha, and sriracha. You didn't know what sriracha was 10 years ago, and now it's everywhere you go. Kewpie mayonnaise. 5 years ago, you never heard of it. Next year, it's going to be everywhere you look. Talk a little bit about Kewpie mayonnaise.
Well, Kewpie mayonnaise has been around forever. I think it's becoming more in the forefront now that the Asian cuisine has become more popular. It just has a great flavor profile. It's not so heavy. It's light. It's got a great flavor profile, and MSG to me is not a bad ingredient. It's got a bad rap out there, but actually MSG is it's part of Asian cuisine. Really, to make a lot of authentic things authentic, it's really hard to take out the MSG and do that. But it's just a consistent product. It's very delicious. It's versatile. Anything that you use mayonnaise in for right now, egg salad sandwich, do Kewpie mayonnaise next time and see what the difference is. It does make a difference.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's do some cooking. What do you want to do first, my friend? Let's get going.
Well, you're cooking the noodles now, right?
Yep.
So why don't you start with the japchae?
Okay. Talk me through what we're doing, because I'm going to get the ingredients in. Talk a little bit about the history of this dish. Is it a dish you find all over Korea? Is it mostly in the south by the sea?
No. Japchae is one of the most popular dishes in Korea. It's one of the most famous dishes in Korea. It's been around for centuries. And only in the past 150, 200 years have they started actually adding, for one, the cellophane noodles, and then two, adding protein to it, because back when they first did japchae, which means a mixture of vegetables is basically what it means. It was basically soy sauce, sugar, garlic, and whatever vegetables they had on hand. Most of the time, spinach, carrot, shiitake mushroom, red pepper. Those are traditional ingredients. But now it's one of those dishes that's iconic in Korea, and every Korean family really has their recipe that they do based off the traditional recipe. But additions from some spice. Maybe some people will put some gochujang in it. Some people will put egg in it. Some people will put pork in it. There's just, I think it's one of those dishes that is very ingrained in Korean cooking.
Well, I've got the indoor griddle grill going.
Perfect.
Do you want to do the chicken?
Do the either or. The chicken, I prefer cooking that on a grill, but you can cook that in a grill pan or however. The pork, is pretty basic. A little bit of oil. If you're gonna do the pork and kimchi, I would saute off the kimchi first.
You got it. I'm going to do a little bit of each. This chicken is beautiful. Is this like a chicken thigh meat?
Yeah, chicken. It's whole chicken thigh, boneless, skinless.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful product.
In my opinion, the thigh meat is the best part of the bird. I prefer dark meat. Breast meat dries out too much. We tried to do a version of that with the breast meat. It's just the texture of it got really weird.
So I'm going to put a little sesame oil in the pan first.
Sure, you can do that or vegetable oil, either or.
Okay.
Are you doing the japchae?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, just like a regular stir fry, just heat up your pan. I would cook that on a medium heat because when you put the bulgogi in, since it does have quite a bit of sugar, it could burn. So medium heat. And I would put the oil, do the mushrooms and onions and beef together, and then add the other vegetables and spinach and the sauce at the end.
So, and just so you can see, I've got my mushrooms and onions and veg all cut up here. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to
awesome.
go in with some of that.
Yeah, so the way the Koreans cut the vegetables is pretty similar. It's mostly julienne carrot, thin sliced mushroom, onion. The green onions are typically cut into 1 to 1.5 inch pieces. The white end split in half to keep kind of consistent in size.
Yep.
But it's all pretty much the standard cut on all of the vegetables that they do for each and every dish. So there's not a whole lot of brunoise or dicing or any of that kind of stuff going on. It's pretty basic.
Okay, that's all going, and it goes pretty quickly.
No, yeah, it goes fast. You can cook. As long as you do your prep and cut your vegetables, you can cook a whole meal very quickly. You can make your banchan or your side dishes in advance and lay those on the table, make your rice, and then everything comes together real fast, which is very nice, especially now when people don't have a lot of time.
Now, one of the things that I tend to cook in, because I love the room it affords me, I love when I do the blending and the mixing in my big metal mixing bowl.
Oh, you're the same as me.
My friends tease me about this big bowl, but it really lets every piece of food get every bit of sauce and flavor. And of all the cuisines of the world where you really want to spread out and get the flavors coating everything, it's this beautiful Korean food.
Yes. And you'll see when you cook the meats, they do keep their moisture. For my student dining applications for the products, when they cook them on the line, and they take them up to service, and even the buffets. Well, we don't have buffets right now, but like in Vegas, the chefs are very impressed that the product does hold for a very long time and keep its moisture, which is, a lot of times, when you go to a buffet or something, you see product and, people eat with their eyes. They see a dry product. They're not going to get that product. It's going to sit there and they have to change it out and put a new product before the customers will eat it. So, our product does, it does hold very well, which is even the tonkatsus, you can fry those and keep them in a tray at a buffet or for food service. And they're still hot. They're still crunchy. They don't get soggy, which is nice because of the breadcrumbs we use and the batter we use.
I want to ask you about something like this, like a hot pot. A lot of people associate this kind of communal cooking, this communal dining, this communal eating. Talk a little bit about the idea of communal and the big central service and the different sides around the core ingredient. Talk about the cultural aspect, how that really cultivates conviviality, which is so important in Korean.
Well, yeah, I mean, when people eat, they like to have fun and they like to interact with each other. And everybody has different tastes, hence the amount of side dishes that they do. I mean, somebody might not like spinach and somebody might not like mushrooms. And, this gives the opportunity to share an experience and customize their own taste more than anything. And, the side dishes are a very, very, we could probably, do recipes of, I did send you a couple of simple banchan recipes. But the side dishes alone could be a whole topic for conversation because they are so varied and they're so different and they're so delicious. And every place that you go to has a specialty that they do. For one place it could be the kimbap or the eggs or the spinach, the way they do it. But there's just so many variations. And japchae, that's used commonly as a banchan as well. And then
what do we do next? My vegetables have wilted. They're cooked. I actually have a saute pan that looks a little bit wok shaped, so it can actually behave a bit like a hot wok. And I've gotten down to where I think we're ready for the next stage. What goes in? Yeah, next?
So now you would add your japchae sauce, and as long as your noodles are probably pretty much done, you can go. Some people say you have to rinse them all the time, but if they're done and your saute's done, you can add them directly and strain them and add them directly into the pan and toss it together. If you go on YouTube and look at this recipe, people do it a bunch of different ways. Some people saute each individual vegetable separately, but a lot of people don't have time for that. So you can. It comes together very quickly.
And I'm going to put about, I guess, 2 tablespoons.
Yeah, just enough to coat. It depends on the portion size, but you want to taste it. You want all the noodles to be coated. The bulgogi already has the sauce, so it's already started to flavor the vegetables as well. So you really don't have to use as much unless you want it saucier. Then you can always add more.
I wish you could smell. Well, you know what this smells like.
Yes, I do.
That's what you sent me.
I've cooked that many times in many different states. That's for sure.
And we've just got to wait another couple of seconds. That's warming through. I like to add a little crunchy cabbage just at the end so it doesn't wilt, so you get that textural element. You get a little of the green cabbage. You get a little of the noodle. And I'm just going to grab my serving dish.
Yeah, people put their own spins, and this food really gives you the ability to do that. There's always going to be some purists out there that you can't put that in japchae or whatever. But it's, if you look at the dish in general, you can go on YouTube and see a bunch of different recipes for it. But there's no right or wrong.
The mushrooms are incredible. I'm going to add a little bit of the cabbage to the top here.
Whether you are thinking about becoming a restaurateur or you are already in the business, Michael Politz has written a must-read, The Food and Beverage Magazine's Guide to Restaurant Success. Pick up your copy today at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, or wherever fine books are sold.
Yummy.
You know, the
Good bite.
noodles. I mean, everything in here is just the aroma this is throwing off. If you wanted to make something so soul satisfying, and I don't mean to make a Korean pun there, but this is truly soul satisfying.
Looks delicious.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna be greedy and eat this when we're done here. I've still got some stuff to. I've still got my goodies on the stove. The chicken's still cooking. Bill, talk to me a little about cooking with the kimchi.
Yeah, so kimchi, you know, as an ingredient, I would say, you know, kimchi stew is probably traditionally one of the most popular dishes for the use of kimchi when you talk about cooking it. For me,
do people even know that you can cook kimchi? Most of us just know it as that cold, really spicy, really tangy fermented cabbage.
Well, I think you know, people are learning more, but like the jjukbokkeum, which is the jjukbokkeum kimchi, which is, you know, the spicy pork with kimchi. That dish is, you know, fantastic, just wrapped in a lettuce leaf. Traditionally, that dish is, you know, people add different kinds of vegetables to it as well. But kimchi fried rice, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had kimchi fried rice, but if you haven't, that's something that you need to try. And, you know, standard, you know, fried rice recipe, you know, some vegetables and some kimchi that you stir fry, and, you know, typically a pork product, bacon or Spam or the spicy pork, all work well with the cooked kimchi. Gives it a different taste.
So, do we have time to do one more dish? Because we've got about 5 minutes left.
Why don't you do the spicy pork and kimchi?
You got it. The pork is already on the griddle.
Oh, okay. Well, then, did you make the? Why don't you make the sauce and make a taco with the spicy pork when it comes out, or the chicken? You know, you already have your cabbage, so just mix your sauce for the taco.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that while we're together. So talk me through this and explain the ingredients and how they work together as we're blending this.
Okay, so basically the Kewpie mayonnaise, you're going to use 1 cup of the Kewpie mayonnaise. And you can eyeball it.
Okay.
And then I would do like 2 tablespoons of sugar.
Yep. Let me grab my spoon. Okay.
So 2 tablespoons of sugar.
Yeah.
And then put 2 spoons of gochujang in there. Just a standard, you know, tablespoon. Yeah, that spoon's perfect.
Now I feel like Bobby Flay.
There you go. And then do 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar or white vinegar or whatever vinegar you have.
Now, if people don't know how to cook with rice wine vinegar, it's one of the most versatile. Everything from just a sprinkle of this, and we should show people, it's just a beautiful, almost golden, pale golden wheat straw color.
Yeah, it's great in salad dressings, just with a little bit of citrus and rice wine and maybe a drop of sesame oil and a little bit of vegetable oil. Mix it in. It's good. Makes a good vinaigrette. Just mix that up now. And you can put sesame oil in there as well.
I just did it because I'm addicted to your sesame oil.
You know, sometimes we make that also. Lime juice and lime. Instead of rice wine vinegar, sometimes we use lime juice and lime zest as well. And it comes together really nice. But it'll be like a bright orange color.
Yeah. It's what happens here is amazing, and I'm gonna have to come around again and show you this because this isn't a color like anything else we've already seen today. I don't know if you can get it.
It's a nice color. Taste it.
Beautiful. You know, I'm originally from New England. I'm originally from Boston, and this flavor, we grew up with having something called clam roll. It's a hot dog bun stuffed with fried clam bellies.
Oh, fried clams.
I want this sauce on a fried clam roll. Oh my gosh.
I haven't had a fried clam in a long time.
Oh my gosh. Right? Like, don't you want one now? I mean,
I do.
Isn't it funny though, Bill, how you taste something like this and instantly your sense memory takes you to the thing that goes with it.
Right. Well, back in the day, TGI Fridays had the best fried clams that I've ever had. They were fantastic.
God. You know what you guys had that I miss? And try finding them anywhere? Potato skins.
Oh. Yeah, they have those in the freezer section now, but they're not the same.
Oh, they're not the same. Not even close.
Need a push getting your spirits, wine, or beverage brand into the hands of consumers? Interested in winning medals like a double gold award? Proof Awards 2020, the ultimate beverage competition, can help jumpstart your brand into the hands of beverage buyers. Enter the Proof Awards. Be a part of the Proof Awards marketing campaign with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. All of our judges are buyers, and that's what sets our awards program apart from the others. Our judges head the beverage programs for restaurants, bars, nightclubs, casinos, liquor stores, big box retail, and national wine and spirits distributors. Your brand will be tasted by buyers from more than 15 states across the U.S. We have hundreds of categories to choose from at www.proofawards.com. Be seen by 12 million readers with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. Get tasted and rated by buyers. The 2020 Proof Awards competition is open for spirits, wine, and beverage brands today. Proof Awards 2020, moving brands into the marketplace. www.proofawards.com.
Bill?
Yep.
We're ready to put this all together. Am I going to take the meat off the grill and toss it in this gorgeous sauce?
Sure.
What else are we going to do?
No, wait, what I would do is that sauce is for the taco. So drizzle that. So you can put your tortilla, put your meat, your cabbage, and then drizzle that sauce on top.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time, so I'm going to try and do this as quickly as I can here. Hang on.
You are?
Well, yes, I am. Bill Michaels, he's an awesome co-host, but when I'm cooking and eating and he's not, he gets just gently grouchy.
No, I get to talk about my book then, Jennifer. The Guide to Restaurant Success.
There you go.
Jennifer, I'm keynoting at the Florida International Food Show. Did you know that? As I did for the Western Food Expo. And last time we had who? We had great chef David Burke as my guest. And we had Dan Simons from Founding Farmers. Coming up for the Florida, we're going to have Elizabeth Blau. You know her, Jennifer. We talk about her every show. And I'm looking for a great chef. I've got a few hats in the air that I'm trying to figure out who shall we bring. But these are trade shows, Bill, that you would have been at, right? These are trade shows. Yeah, we do
the National Restaurant Show every year. We do the Western. The Natural Products Expo. We do this Boston Seafood Show. I do the NACUP shows when I can fit them in, and then I do some shows with my distributor. But this year has been 0, 0, and 0, and we're hoping next year we'll be able to get back and do, because last year in 2018 we were doing the tacos that she's making at our booth, and it was just, people were floored by how delicious.
Well, I'll tell you, Bill, what's great, and you know this, you and I talk. Our readership now online, Food and Beverage Magazine, has like 25,000 people an hour that are coming. Wow. And it's because they don't have access to the trade shows, right? So it's guys like you that are working with us, and we're bringing them, and we're doing these kind of things, and we're showing them the products that are out there. And it's a shame that they can't smell it, or even if they don't taste it, even if they just smell it, or just see you walking by a booth or whatever, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's way different,
But we have to do what we have to do. That's why.
No, for sure.
And listen, I'd like to be there getting my books. I would like to be handing out books to people, moving to Food and Beverage Magazine. Look at this. Look at this.
Now you're talking.
What is that, Jennifer? What is that?
Look at this. If this doesn't make you want to pull your car over and look at that gorgeous. It's the chicken.
Nothing is more gorgeous than watching you eat, Jennifer. I only wish Bill was having a bulgogi taco.
I made that just to make you jealous. But, you know, the sauce, it soaks in, the crunch of the cabbage. I really do need to bring this back around. Like,
Ooh.
This is the kind of, right?
Yep.
This is why we have.
Wait, what did you make? Is that that's not the chicken katsu, is it?
No.
No, that's the spicy chicken.
That's the spicy chicken
bulgogi.
Yeah. I used the spicy chicken bulgogi and I mixed it, Bill, with the pork bulgogi.
Oh, okay.
And it was unbelievable.
You made the Korean fajita platter?
What? I didn't think about that. I should have probably gotten fajitas. I don't even know how we ate it with rice. We're in a Hawaiian home, Bill. We eat everything with rice, You know
what you do is with the spicy pork, you get your fajita platter. You cook your spicy pork and kimchi. You sizzle that platter, and then you put tofu around it and serve it with leaf lettuce, and walk out on your table and put it in front of your guests. And that's wow.
Can I walk out in my bathrobe?
Totally, guests? Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
oh.
Or skates. Put on some skates and cruise out on your roller skates. That might be better.
Look, I can't tell you how happy I am to have gotten my really true masterclass in the essential fundamentals of Korean barbecue from Bill Elliott, the master from KBBQ. And I got to say, really, thank you so much for doing this with us and for us. I want the world to be inspired to discover these flavors. And we literally just scratched the surface today.
Right. Next time I can cook and you can watch.
I would like that actually. You can.
Okay. Maybe we'll do some soju cocktails next time too.
Now you're talking, and of course, because the world has gone to lower alcohol by volume preferences, that's absolutely the next wave. You want to know what 2021 is going to taste like? This is a glimpse right here. Right. And what are you going to wash it down with?
Soju cocktail.
Bill Elliott, thank you so much. How do I say thank you in Korean?
감사합니다.
감사합니다. Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thanks.
Thanks. Can we give everybody, Michael, the website one more time for the Korean barbecue cage?
Jennifer, it has been up. It's been up since I saw Bill's beautiful face. I had put that up there.
Okay.
Bill, we're going to talk this. Let's talk this week, buddy. We're going to talk.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Why do I love that guy?
He's such a nice man.
Yeah. When we talk, no one ever calls me out of the blue. For some reason, he called me out of the blue, a month and a half ago? And we had the greatest conversation. He knew everything that was going on. It was pretty exciting. And I love it. What do you think of the background? My wife came in and said, what are those flashing yellow lights? I don't like it. I want all red. There it is.
There it is.
We had no choice.
Love it.
Jennifer, you are a gem in the kitchen. And call me when we're done because I need you to write up a description for the Michael Politz Friends in the Industry keynote for the Florida International Restaurant Show. Because I can't do that. And everybody got their book already. Everybody got their books. And you're the only one that said thank you.
Well, listen, I can't thank you enough. That book is really changing the way I'm thinking about the post-COVID adaptation that we all need to shift into.
I love it. All right, Jen, go. You're cooking in the kitchen. We love you. I mean, I do. I hope everyone that's watching does. Because you'll always be my peach, Jen. You'll always be my peach.
It's like their own movie. I'm a peach.
All right, babes. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, listen, hug your kids and count your blessings.